morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we are looking at a brand new Greninja-GX card. And ladies and gentlemen, look at the artwork. That's right, this is a card from Detective Pikachu, that little mini set I told you about earlier. We know what the booster packs look like. They look like this. We know that we are getting a Greninja-GX case file. It looks like this. And we know that in there we are getting a Greninja-GX that looks like this. Huge shout out to the lovely Joe from Cerebi for hooking us up with these images. Joe is a lovely man, and I cannot recommend Cerebi.net highly enough. So what do we have here then with this Greninja-GX? Well, the first thing to note, and this was one of my big questions going into the Detective Pikachu set, are these going to be regular cards just like the rest of them that are going to be legal for tournament play and all of that? And the answer seems to be yes. It's clearly using art from the Detective Pikachu movie, but other than that, it's a standard GX card. And it even follows the promo numbering of the Sun and Moon promo cards, so it is just a Pokemon card like any other. It will evolve from Frogadier. More on that in a moment. So in terms of the basics, it's got 230 HP, which is the same as the other Greninja-GX. It's got a retreat cost of 1, which is low, and is actually 1 lower than the other Greninja, so you know, that's quite cool. It is weak to grass, which means you could potentially have some issues if you're playing against decks that play stuff like Delmise or Tapu Bulu, or the upcoming Celebi and Venusaur, or Venusaur and Celebi. Nope, Celebi and Venusaur. Tag Team GX, which is looking like it will be fairly good. And being a water Pokemon means you got access to Brooklet Hill to search out your Pokemon. It means you got Aqua Patch to accelerate a little bit of energy. And it means you should be hitting weakness on Blacephalon GX. But as we're going to see in a moment, you won't be. The ability here, and no translation needed because we do have English images, cheers Joe, says that you can, as long as you have 0 cards in hand, play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench and draw 3 cards. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is very literally cheating the rules of evolution. It's a stage 2 Pokemon, so you're supposed to have to wait 2 turns to evolve it up manually, or use a rare candy after waiting a turn to get it going. You can play this on turn 1. It is a frankly ridiculous ability. Now, we've got Manectric at the moment, which can cheat in a similar kind of way, except Manectric only allows you to play it at the beginning of the game, and even then only when you're going second. So it's nowhere near the same here. This is very reminiscent, of course, of the Archies and Maxies. I'll be mentioning Maxies in a video very shortly, later on, hour or 2 down the line. And these were cards that you could only play if they were the last card in your hand, and it let you drag a Pokemon of the appropriate type from your discard, put it onto your bench and draw 5 cards. It cheated the rules of evolution while allowing you to draw cards. This is very similar to Archie's Ace in the Hole. In fact, if this was in the discard, it's exactly the same as Archie's Ace in the Hole, except you do draw 2 fewer cards, but it's not your supporter for the turn. Because remember, if you draw 3 cards with this and one of those cards just so happens to be a Cynthia, you can then play a Cynthia to get a new hand of 6 cards. And let's be clear about this, drawing 3 cards is good. It is just how, but as an ability. And there's none of these restrictions. So something like Oranguru or a little while ago Shaymin, yeah, they can let you draw until you've got X number of cards in your hand. Shaymin was 6 and Oranguru currently is 3. But you've got to empty out your hand. Here you're just drawing 3. Although having said that, in order to play it, you've got to empty your hand out to 0. But even so, drawing 3 is very nice. And unlike Zebstrika, you don't have to discard your hand. Although you kind of have to do, because you can only play this if you've got 0 cards in hand. The thing is, we've got Granbull at the moment, and Granbull is a really good deck that's seeing a lot of play and a fair amount of success, and that is a deck whereby every single turn you have to lower your hand to 0 cards. And what you do is you just play a whole bunch of item cards. You play stuff like Mysterious Treasure and Ultra Ball, which can discard cards from your hand, and then maybe you play around with stuff like Macargo and indeed Orangaroo to make sure that you can search for and draw the perfect card, empty your hand, play it down, draw 3 cards. This essentially becomes a 230 HP basic Pokemon. If you look at stall decks that try using stuff like Max Potion, you can use Ace Roller here, of course. You've just got to have 0 cards in hand in order to play it down again. But if you can use Ace Roller and then you've got 0 cards in hand, you can just play it back down again. Incidentally, you could keep doing this with something like Super Scoop Up. You could get a bit of a loop going on here. Ace Roller is once per turn because supporter. But you could play this down, draw 3 cards, play a Super Scoop Up to pick it up, and as long as you get your hand to 0, you can play it down. And I know it reads once during your turn, but remember that every time it goes to the bench and then gets picked up, it becomes essentially a new Pokemon. So you could spam this and draw multiple cards during your turn with Greninja. You could use this as a draw engine in and of its own right. And you could also use it as a stall deck, whereby you play it down, and if your opponent can't hit 230, you just Max Potion or Ace Roller, and you're fine. Now, the attacks are not as impressive as the ability. Main attack, Water Colorless Energy, 130 damage, not affected by weakness, resistance, or any other effects. That's kind of annoying. Now, in terms of the any other effects, if you're against something like a Dawnwing's Necrozma, which has gone and used their GX attack to get immunity for a turn, you can ignore them and hit them. That's very nice. In terms of the resistance, who cares? Nothing is resistant to water, so it's kind of irrelevant. And in terms of weakness, this sucks, because Blacephalon. This would get a very easy one-hit KO on Blacephalon, but since it doesn't hit for weakness, even with a choice band, it doesn't get a one-hit KO on Blacephalon. This is very, very upsetting, because Blacephalon is a phenomenal card that is seeing a huge amount of play. The fact that you cannot one-hit KO Blacephalon with this is a huge problem. What is not a huge problem is getting the energy on to use this attack. I've already mentioned Aqua Patch, and here's the thing, right? Let's say you can get a free retreat Pokemon in the active, something like Tapu Koko, or indeed you just play something like a Switch, or an Escape Board with a single retreat Pokemon. What you can do here is get your hand to 0, play down Greninja, hit an Aqua Patch, attach for your turn, and you can use this turn 1 going second. Now, to be fair, that's not the easiest thing ever, because you've got to get the Aqua Patch and the energy after benching Greninja, which is a bit of a pain, but it does remain possible. And the 130 is good because it means a one-hit KO on non-GXs like Granbull and White Kyurem and non-GX Buzzwole, which is nice. But after that, it gets slightly sad. Choice Band will only allow you to get a one-hit KO on Marshadow, no other GXs, and you're not hitting for weakness. So, against non-GXs, this is really good. Against GXs, it's not as good. If you play this as a traditional Stage 2 Pokemon, it is underpowered. But if you essentially play this like a basic you play from your hand, yeah, that's pretty good. GX attack, 1 water energy, put one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your opponent's hand. It's alright. It's kind of like a weaker version of Sylveon's GX attack, because Sylveon's GX attack lets you put 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon and all cards attached to them into your opponent's hand. It's fine. Maybe your opponent's got 1 Vikavolt out and you can get rid of it. Maybe they're playing, I don't know, a Metagross deck and you get rid of their only Metagross. It's not amazing. Although I do love the combo here you can play with Cyrus. Cyrus Prism Star is a lovely supporter card which I think should see more play, which can only be played if you've got a water or metal Pokemon in the active, but Greninja's a water Pokemon. Your opponent chooses 2 bench Pokemon and shuffles all the others into their deck. Then you use your GX attack and they're left with just 1 basic. So I don't like the GX attack in and of itself, but I do like the GX attack if you can get a combo rolling with Cyrus here. And before we finish, I should mention you can combine this with the other Greninja-GX. They've both got the same name, so 4 in total. And you can evolve this from the really nice Frogadier that drops 2 damage counters when you evolve into it. But I want to be 100% clear about this. This is a 4 Wassy card, but it is a 4 Wassy card because you can take advantage of the ability. This is not a Pokemon you evolve up in the usual way. This is a Pokemon whereby, hey, I can use this as a 230 HP basic Pokemon in a stall deck. Yes. Or I can use this with stuff like Super Scoop Up and Ace Roller to get a really nice draw engine, playing it from my hand to draw 3 cards. Yes. Or just, I can use this as a quick little attacker, using stuff like Naganadel and Quagsire to accelerate energy, or using Aqua Patch to accelerate energy. I think this is a very, very nice Pokemon if it's played from the hand, and an underwhelming not going to see play stage 2 if you're trying to evolve it up in the traditional manner. I know the ability needs to have 0 cards in your hand in order to work, but it hasn't stopped Granbull, and having a 230 HP basic Pokemon with a decent attack and quite a nice GX attack, while drawing 3 cards when you play it, I think that is going to drive some people to try and break this card wide open. But I would very much like to know what you think about this. Are you one of those people that sees this and goes, ooh, I like this? Or are you one of these people that goes, nah, it's never going to work? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the most important thing as always. Do make sure you're nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays. We have been getting well into Transformers TCG Wave 2 spoilers, and we are going to be getting right back to Keyforge very, very soon. As in like tomorrow. But by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.